There is a thin divide between what is perceived as spiritual and paranormal, for they are forever entwined throughout time. Traveling within the history of the world, we can find examples of spirituality that involves everything from magic, spirits, gods and goddesses, and seers or people said to be able to talk to the dead. We all have our belief systems and we all have our own truths. So come sit with Holly Jenkins and myself as we talk about all that and more. Welcome to Spiritually Paranormal.
Why are we switched on opposite sides? Hey, retrograde is over. Mercury retrograde is done. So something else is at play.
Yeah, I'm going to upload a couple things. So you start talking, tell everybody hi, and then I'm going to upload this couple things here. And
all right. Hey, everybody. So what a crazy week. I mean, we're done with Mercury retrograde. There's still some other planets in retrograde. Let me go look because I wasn't even prepared to think about talking about that. But let's go see what exactly is still in retrograde because there's a couple of planets at least. Hold on, and I will tell you. Let's see. This is September. Pluto was in retrograde till October 11th, Saturn until November 4th, Neptune until December 6th. Venus just came out of retrograde on the 4th of this month. Mercury went out of retrograde on the 15th. Yay. And Uranus is going to be in retrograde until January, and Jupiter is in retrograde until the end of the year.
Well, that's a lot.
Yeah, there's a whole retrograde party going on. So there's only two planets that just recently came out. All the others are still partying it up.
Well, I don't know about you. I was actually tired before Windwalker got here.
I bet you're exhausted now. Did she drain all your energy?
No, actually, what I've been, we've talked about this, and I'm sure people understand. They, because there's a lot of people, and actually, Penny, just the one that does haunted histories, Penny Morgan, she just posted on her page she's got COVID bad. So my kids had it last month, but they never got better. They're done with it. It's not testing positive.
They need to do the honey and onions. I'm telling you.
It's developed into sinuses, and Taylor has goop coming out of her one eye, and so they did get a hold of, which is really cool, a teledoctor, and both of them, and they got stuff, and now they're on the mend. But it's like everybody's feeling drained, and I like today I got up. I didn't want to get up. I mean, I was so bone worried, down. It was an effort to get out of bed. And I went around and fed everybody and did, took my shower, got cleaned up, did the normal. And I even ate some breakfast. And I had to go back, lay down at like 11 o'clock. I just couldn't do it. And I didn't sleep. I just laid there and I'm exhausted. So, and I've been that way for a couple weeks. I was fairly good yesterday. I did the readings yesterday. I felt really good with that. But yeah, so everybody got here Friday. The young gal that's here, that's Taylor's little sis, and she grew up in our house. She comes and goes. She's working on getting a job and good prospects they've interviewed her for. And so she's been coming over for dinner. So that's good because I'm making enough for two of us. And because she's here, I'm eating properly again.
Good. So tell us about the weekend. Tell us how the visit went.
It was Saturday. She just came up for Saturday because she had to leave Sunday.
Did you see the dragonflies?
Yeah, the dragonflies were here, and she came.
Told you.
Coming for springtime. Yeah, and what I'll tell you about dragonflies on that because we were all laughing. And so she got here Saturday early afternoon, like around noonish type time. and she had let us know. I told them to stop in town to eat because I was going to make dinner around 4:35 to be able to eat. And so they got here, and first was my former client, Britt. I've known her for years now, and she's been wanting to come to my place again the past 3 years, but because of my health, I don't want you knew that I really don't have anything more to give you right now. And I introduced her to people, and Windwalker was one of them that she also got on seat. She saw 3 of them, and so she had Windwalker show up at her house, and she got there Thursday night, and I said, "Don't come up Friday. You've invited her here. Enjoy her Friday." When Britt stepped out of the car, the metamorphosis that I saw on her, and I've known her for years now. When I first met her, she was in an abusive relationship. She was all over the place. It was like watching somebody hyper on ADHD meds. It was just crazy. And it took all this time, but it's been I want to say about 9 years now.
Wow.
I didn't even recognize her. I did not even recognize her. If I didn't know that she was the one driving up, I would not have known her by looking at her.
Right.
Her hair went back to her natural color. Her health was just, she was just beautiful. I mean, you could see the energy from her, but she was the calmest I have ever seen her. So that made my heart just feel good. And Windwalker was sitting in the car, kind of sniffling a little bit. She got out, and I walked over, and we just hugged each other because I haven't physically seen her since 2009 or 2010. We talk all the time on the phone, but it's different. And we just didn't want to let each other go. But that's not why she was here. So she came in. I introduced her. Taylor actually had gone back to bed. She had gone and got her hair done. She's going to the Keys on Friday for her birthday. She's turning 30. And she's sick, right? So she went to bed. She says, "Mom," I go, "I don't care. Just go to bed. You don't need to be getting," and we were all outside too, we were chatting and talking about things. And Dave set up, we had a nice little campfire going. And, it's kind of like fall weather. So it was kind of in the higher 60s, but it was still in the 60s. So the fire was cool. And we all just sat out there, and Dave goes, "I don't want to interrupt." I go, "You don't have to. If you want to come in, just come in," because it was all ladies or women. And then I had Mama Betty, who's 86. I had called her, and I said, "You need to come by because you need to meet Windwalker." And they had a beautiful exchange. Everybody was teary, and she was teary. And she let me know the next day. She says, "I just can't even tell you." Apparently, and I wasn't out there at the time. I had come into the house, and I was preparing the meal, right? So I didn't hear everything that was going on, but it was okay because they were all comfortable, and it was rolling the way it needed to roll. So apparently she spoke of her mom. And like I said, Betty's 86. She's been around the world. She was in Saigon when it was falling, and her and her husband almost didn't get out. I mean, she's got stories. I could sit and listen to her for years. And I don't know how it came up, but she was speaking of her mother. Windwalker got up apparently and walked over to her and took her hands, and she sang Amazing Grace to her.
Oh, wow.
I did not hear it, of course, because I was in the house. But when Betty called me, and I didn't even know this had happened, and she called me the next day, and she was in tears, and she said, "I don't know how she knew, but that was my mother's favorite hymn."
Oh, wow.
And I said, "Well, it's because of who she is. She's 4th generation medicine woman." And I said, "And it's no bunk." And, you know how when you got people coming over, you're trying to straighten the house up and get it clean. I mean, my house is clean, but because of the past few years, I've got like neat piles of stuff. Yeah, but it's in every room, but it's put up and to the side. But I wasn't like worried about it. I didn't feel bad about it. I didn't, because it's her. I know where she's in some of the places that she's lived doing her work, So she came in and we just were laughing because she wanted to see Mango and Pip, and they loved Phoenix. Phoenix was dancing with them and everything else. And he actually, I put him in here in this room because I didn't want him out there when everybody was eating because they all came in to eat. We don't want bugs on our food, while we're eating. So they were inside eating. He got mad and he kept shimmying down the side of the cage and running into the kitchen and coming to where we were. And I finally, like the third time, I said, look, dude, you got to stay here. We're eating. So I put him back up on top, but I shut the door, right? So, and he can get on and off the cage all by himself. So all of a sudden, Mulan starts howling, like the death howl. Like,
yeah.
I mean, it's a death howl. It's like, mom. And she's 19. So I'm like, oh my God, is she going to die while Windwalker's here? It's like, what is she doing? And we couldn't see her. So I got up, just sitting by outside of my door. And I'm like, what's wrong? I said, you can't go in there right now. And she like wanted to go in there. So I opened the door. He had shimmied down the cage to the bottom shelf of his cage where I have a 5-pound bucket of his Nutriberries, which are a fortified food in a ball with honey, right? A 5-gallon bucket. He pried the lid off the bucket and he ate a quarter of what was in there. And when I went in, he was in the bucket eating.
Oh my goodness.
I said, oh my God, what are you doing? And he was just, his crop was just like, boo, And I'm like, oh my God. And that's why she was howling. And I looked at her, she looked up at me and went like that and just walked away like, told you. Wow. So yeah, Windwalker, she loved, everybody was laughing about it, very calm. And her and Britt said, it's like stepping into a bubble here. It's like, there's no outside world. I go, yeah, I know. I've had people say that before and they loved it. And she did work on Lindsay. Lindsay had some healing to do emotionally. And then I was in the house and I turned around and after she was done with that, they were all talking. And I said, I went to the window and Dave was there. I said, Windwalker, I said, I'm going to ask you. And if Dave allows it, I would like you to do some healing work on him. And she says, absolutely. And Britt goes, yeah, no problem. So I turned around and said, Dave, you don't have to feel pressured if you don't. He goes, I think I'd enjoy that. So they did, and it rocked him. His legs were jelly. So was Lindsay's. I didn't. They all did a ceremony for our water because that's what she does, healing earth and water. So it was so strong. She turned around and said, would you bring your drum? You want to drum with us? And I said, no. And she said, okay. And she says, well, okay, you guys can sing with us. And I was like, no, I can't because I need to pull in that healing energy that she was putting out. And then when she left Sunday and the kids left Sunday, I was like a cooked noodle. And
I bet that's a lot of energy. And that's a lot going on for those of us who don't really interact with other people, outside people that often.
It was strong, and there's no doubt. And I laughed because David called me yesterday to discuss it. He said, I've never felt anything like that before. And he had the 2 women because Britt was doing it too. Britt's actually been to the Amazon with her husband for like a month.
Oh, wow.
No phone, no technology, living out with a shaman in the middle of the Amazon. So, I mean, she has done the work and she's just so chill. And she's like 36 now, 36, 37. It's just beautiful to watch and witness. So it was wonderful. But like I said, I think I'm still tired.
Yeah. Just drained.
Tired. So.
I feel you. I've not had all of that going on. I've had something else going on, and I am drained.
Yeah, I know, and I hope that stops for you soon.
Yep.
So, otherwise, what have you been doing? You said you got a couple new bookies.
Yeah, they've just come in. They came in last Thursday. This is Healing with the Grandmothers. These are all the personal visions and healing ceremonies I've had with the grandmothers, all packed into this one book.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
How can you sit? And I'm not. This isn't a judge. It's a question. Honest question. How can you sit and write that so quickly? Because I'm still writing
Well,
my. I'm
on
working on
these,
mine.
they were already written because it's
Oh,
the ceremonies I've had with them over the
right.
years where I'd already written about them, and I just compiled them into one book. And
Yeah,
then, like the children's books, they come together. Once you have the concept, the idea that you want to write about,
I
yeah,
like this one.
the Dreamcatcher's Promise. It is a different rendition than, because every different,
Tribe and clan. Yeah.
yeah, has their own little story. So this is just a fun story that is about bears and the Dreamcatcher. And but once you have that concept, it kind of just flows out pretty quickly. And children's books, they're not really long winded. There's not that
Right.
many words.
Right.
Yeah, and then I've got the Adventures of Coda and the Seven Sacred Teachings. Oh, I love that. And I've got two more here.
Well, you
I've
only sent
got
me two. Oh, the coloring book. I did see that. That is so cool.
I've got I did the animal totems one, that each one on each page with animal totems, that one has a mantra that goes along with each animal. I did wild horses, I did the wolf, and I did the raven and wolf together. And I feel like I did another one, but I don't remember what it was. And then there's this my happy place. Here's a little peek inside.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, you have to have a lot of patience. There's a lot of little fine lines, a lot of detail in those. And this is, I love this. I haven't even sold any copies of it yet, but it is a very thick book. It's not just a journal, it's like a reference guide. It's got my predictions for each month for next year that has all the moon and retrograde dates in it. It has full moon practices, new moon practices. It's got, oh my gosh, hold on. Let me go to the index because it's a lot. It's got the planets, what every planet, what it represents and what it does, the zodiac dates and the basic traits for each one of the zodiacs. It's got the angel numbers, the basic ones, and it doesn't go into, that's too many numbers. That'd be a whole book. The art of grounding, cleansing your space, affirmations. There's 10 different sets of affirmations, and each set has 4 affirmations. So you choose your category. Healing frequencies, what those are, what they do for you. The colors for candle magic. It's got 112 journaling pages with writing prompts and inspiration. And it's got the life path numbers, how to figure those out, what they mean, your destiny numbers.
Show the cover of that one again, just so they can see it. So it's Awaken the Divine Within.
Yep.
Okay, that's cool.
It's loaded. Like, you just need to have this with you when the angel numbers pop up. You can look. When you want to listen to a certain frequency, look it up to see which one you need, whatever you're doing. I mean, I crammed as much in there as possible. It's got a lot.
We're having by the way, she just offered to give you a reading.
So, yeah.
I just got to say that was pretty funny.
That is funny.
I love it. Well, that's not to take away from that book. That's really a good book. I actually probably, like I said, I've got my Christmas list going here. I got a few of them I'm going to get.
You want one? I'll send you one.
I want to give one to Taylor. I'm going to give one. I want to get some of the kids' books for their godson, who's like my god grandson, I guess would be called. He's 3.
The one I've sold the most of is Coda.
Yeah, that's so cute. That's so
cute. I love that story. It gives me chills. It's just so cute.
They I just totally lost my train of thought. Oh no, I was talking about the gal that stuck that into the feed. Hackers are like a real issue right now. They've been an issue for a while, but they're kind of ramped up. And I keep
having to delete them. They'll come onto my page and comment on everybody else's comments.
Check your reviews, because I had some and I didn't know, and I was like, what the heck? And they were like offering their services on my page, on my reviews. But it's gone a step farther, and I started laughing this morning because 45's junior, number 45, his junior, got hacked on X or Twitter, whatever it was. And it was actually kind of comical what was coming out. It really did sound like him. So the news media was trying to figure it out. And since then, it's been closed down. But it made me realize how much hackers are. Well, I just got a note from my credit union that I've been with for years, and they sent me a new debit card. And I'm like, why? It's not even due for 3 more years. Why would they do that? And they had a letter attached to it, and they said apparently they're I was in the group of customers or clients, whatever you want to call it, that got hacked. Our information got hacked. And I'm like, in a bank, like that's really scary. I mean, they're setting up perimeter, but they seem to be advancing out there in the world.
Oh, yeah. It's insane.
It's just crazy. And then Brienne showed up, the Wolf's daughter showed up today. And I was just telling her, I got a phone call this morning, and I'm still pretty livid about it, actually. And they said my full English name, Kimberly, right? And I said, yes, who's this? And they were some clinic, like an ortho clinic, but it had nothing to do with the doctors or where I had had surgery. And they said, well, we understand that you had fallen and you broke your hip and you need knee replacements, and you've had spinal surgery twice, and you've got a lot of issues going on right now, and we would like to offer you. And I'm like, excuse me, who are you? I said to him, have you ever heard of HIPAA? HIPPA? And I'm like, yeah, no thanks. And I reported them, and I wrote that in the thing, whoever it goes to, whoever your carrier is, I guess. But I'm like sitting here, and the more I thought about it, I'm going to get a hold of the hospital, because they should know one. That's HIPAA. They don't even allow
That's
you
a huge violation.
So apparently, a lot of people's stuff are getting exposed out there and not that I know that, I know for a fact, government wants to know something about you. They can find at a flip of a switch, they can find out whatever they want. And I really don't care, because I'm not doing anything wrong.
Right.
But when you get into some of this stuff, no wonder the banking industry is in so much trouble. 2 months ago, my son, David, he had his account hacked. Taylor had hers attacked. And
I got mine last week. I got a new debit card this weekend because I went to McDonald's to get a tea, and the guy at the window that took my card must have scanned my card, because within an hour later they were trying to charge $28 and some change, like 7 different times, to some. I don't even remember what it was called, but it was something I had never even heard of before.
David lost like over $1,000, and he had to literally go in, take his banking receipts and all that stuff to the bank, and then the bank had to like go through it. I mean, he got refunded eventually, but he actually had to prove that it wasn't him. Right. So I don't know what's going on, people, but you better, like I said, and this is part of it. The ugly is coming out in the world, and it's really ugly. Yeah, it's really, really ugly. Yeah, I don't know. It's difficult thing. So, did you read the latest about the aliens?
No. What's new? What's new about the aliens?
Well, the people that had taken them to the scientists or whatever they took to find out what they were, they carbon dated the bones, and they went back 1,000 years, at least 1,000 years, and that was based on the dirt they were buried in and under, and the things that were on them and around them. And the Mexican government is still trying to prove this. Well, of course, they've got a bunch of people going up, oh, this is crazy, this isn't real, it's human bones ground with animal bones, and somebody put glue in there, and that's where that silicon. I'm like, excuse me, they were carbon dated, like from a very reputable place, 1,000 years old. Do you think the Incas or the Aztecs were up there playing with animal bones and human bones and grinding them to make an alien and bury it? Like, yeah, seriously? Ridiculous. So the debate still goes on, but they're still being tested. But I find that very strikingly interesting, because they haven't been able to prove it's not.
Right. Right.
So I don't know if it's going to turn out one of those things where you either believe it or you don't. I don't
Right,
know.
exactly. I was just talking about that last night to my husband. Not that particular thing, but about aliens and the what I don't even remember when it was. It was a long time ago. Was given a vision about multiple Earth planets that were within traveling distance. One of them you do not want to be on, and it feels a lot like lately that we're on that particular planet. It was one where I described it was a scientific Earth planet where a lot of the people, all the cases of missing people and stuff, those people are on that planet. They were taken there and they're being used as lab rats. Basically, that's all that planet is scientists and humans that have been abducted and taken there, and it's not done by aliens. It's done by bad people, just bad people.
Yeah, I actually I saw something the other night, and I thought, wow, this is like, again, this is why they want to control social media. But they brought out all these multi-billionaires, and they've traced money back to them, corporations that are paying politicians, and it's taken them quite a while to go through it. But there's so much there, and what we're shown, I wouldn't even say shown, that we're kind of made to believe is not the truth. It's far from the truth.
It's so far from the truth.
It's so far.
But there's a couple of other Earth planets. One of them, I'm going to say the certain people know about, and it's not a primitive Earth, but it's not like all of this highly populated Earth, and it's going to be like the caretakers, the herbalists, the medicine people, and stuff like that. People are going to, young and old, are being put there to start a new Earth in a very new way. And then there's another one that is very, very similar, but it's not people that are putting people there. It's the aliens that are taking them there in secrecy and repopulating that particular. I know this sounds crazy. I know it sounds out of the world and hard to believe.
But if you stop and think about it, I mean, really stop and think about it. Even with the UFOs that were always seen and have always for centuries, because they're on cave dwelling drawings from the Native Americans that were here like thousands of years ago, that they existed. I mean, and they're still being seen. And I think the only reason that it's getting so much push right now in the public is because everybody has phones, and they're using their phones to capture whatever they see. Yeah. You're not going to tell somebody, hey, I was out on my lake and I just saw this thing zipping all over the place, and they have film to match it. It's insane. Yeah. Somebody brought up yesterday, I don't remember who it was, while I was streaming, sorry, gotta situate my back, about astral travel, like us going in astral travel. I had explained to them, it's kind of like when we daydream. Like, I've driven downstate, been 3-hour drive. I have no idea how I got there, which is a little scary, but it can also be done through meditation and just sitting and calming yourself and centering yourself. I think it's also similar when people who can like look at our bodies and see health issues inside our bodies. I kind of explained it, but maybe you can give your version.
Well, we have to remember that we are not our physical body. Our physical body is basically like our car. It gets us from point A to B. It helps me walk around the room and for other people to see me. But the true me is the spirit, the energy that is inside of my core. And that energy can go other places, physically go other places, and it can be in multiple places at once. So when you're astral traveling, it's your energy that is traveling, not your physical body, of course. It is your energy that does the traveling.
Well, I asked everybody yesterday, I said, okay, here's an example of it. Have you ever fallen asleep and you've gone into a deep sleep and something jars you? Something like the dog jumps on the bed, or like with me, the cat smacks my face, or somebody says, Mom, get up, it's time, and you kind of abruptly sit up, but you're kind of, what I use the word discombobulated, which is my grandfather used to use, confusion and just kind of like, what the heck? And I always explain it like OJ trying to fit his hand in the glove, right? If it doesn't fit. And that's what's happening. It's like our soul energy has been traveling.
Like a rubber band, it snaps back into our body.
Right. And if it snaps back or tries to snap back quick, it discombobulates or confuses our heads to like, wow, what just happened? And you're kind of like trying to shake it back into place. And I think a lot of people do this. And I think a lot of people, again, I think for reason, people are beginning to see, do, and feel things that normally they wouldn't. But
just imagine it like the sound waves. Like I am in Tennessee, you are in Michigan, and we're talking, and we have people listening to us in real time all over the world. That is energy traveling through the air. Your spirit is energy. It does the same thing.
100%, 100%. And it's, I just find it interesting that so many people are asking, what is this? What's happening to me? What is this? Now, Lindsay, my youngster, who's brilliant and way ahead of her time, she's old soul. She was sitting and we were, actually, she likes it, and so do I, because Taylor never wants to talk about stuff like this. And Lindsay kind of has gifts, and she brought up the fact, she says, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this in a way, but it's not a scary thing, that she feels we're beginning the end of times. And I said, I agree with that. I don't think you or I are going to be in that when it happens. And I'm not even sure if our kids will be in there when it happens.
I think it's a pretty long way off.
But I still think those beginnings of let's clean this place up, let's get the sludge out of the mainstream stuff, let's address the real human issues. And I think that's what's happening now. It's being pushed. That agenda is being pushed. And it's not by people. It's, like I said, the spiritual issues that are going on right now. That's my thing anyway.
Well, to answer Ellen's question or her, add to her statement there. In one of next year's predictions, and I don't remember which one it is, but on one of the months, and it's further down in the year, I say something to the effect of, and remember, now I predicted these things for next year, like way earlier in the year or at the end of last year. There's a lot of chaos and drama and horrible things happening in the world at that particular time. But in your own very small universe of your world, your little individual world will be about what you're focusing on. You can allow yourself to get sucked into the fear, and that's what the agenda wants. The agenda is for you to be sucked into that fear, because if everything in the universe is energy, the energy you add to it makes that grow in that way. And if they can make everyone afraid and everyone living in fear, you're adding to that agenda, to their agenda, not yours. So you have to stay in the present moment in your own world and keep projecting and putting out that positive energy, the healing energy, and work on your healing and manifesting and all of that, and not be sucked into the fear.
Yeah, it's funny you talk about the fear, excuse me, because the kids are talking to me about that this weekend, and I said, no, I don't really have any fear. I mean, I'd like to feel better. Do we have all the answers? No, but I'm not fearful, whatever it is. And I said, when it's my time.
What all those comments? Why are they done pulled up like that?
Oh, because I responded to
Oh,
Margaret.
you did. And it made it look like we all responded.
Yeah, no, it just goes to every page because
Oh,
we're
I
on
was
every
like,
page. Yeah, no,
what's
no, no, no.
going on?
I didn't write that.
Deja vu, deja vu, deja vu.
But yeah, I think if anything, and at the beginning of this year, I actually the same thing I wrote about it. It was the healing. This year is about healing and allowing that healing to happen and come in. And I think that's the biggest problem for a lot of people. And that's what I told my daughter. I said, I'm not.
You got to be so careful about not getting sucked into that fear agenda.
You know,
You just can't. You have to distance yourself from what they want you to believe.
yeah, 100%.
And just because you see one video, I'm just going to say real quick, if you see one video and it gets reposted over and over and over again, let's just say a flood or some riot or whatever, suddenly your mind thinks that there's riots all over the place. What was one place, one riot? It's one video that got shared 1,000,000 times. So really put it in perspective and understand that you're not seeing this happening everywhere. It's just getting shared everywhere. So it seems to multiply. You can't get sucked in.
Another thing that we talked about when Windwalker left, after she left, the kids and I were they were asking me questions about things some of the things that she told them they understood, but they wanted a bigger understanding of it. And one of the things was something that Windwalker.
I have got someone coming in. Hold on.
Okay.
Go ahead.
One of the things that Windwalker had told David was about him being a warrior, and we need more warriors, and don't allow yourself to go back into that place of not being a warrior. And he wanted to kind of understand that. And he's actually had gifts. He's 32 now. He's had gifts since he was a child. And one of the things we brought about and talked about were the indigo children. And I think, like, you have your grandsons, I believe, are indigo. Oh, your one grandson especially. But David was an indigo child as well. And now he's an adult. And he is very open to things that he experienced when he was a child of knowing. And we've talked about that here before. I know you were as a child. I don't know if they would have classified us as indigo kids, but it was like,
I think probably so. I mean, I could see, hear, and speak to spirits. That's pretty indigo to me.
Yeah, for anybody that doesn't understand,
scared the crap out of me because no one was talking about it. But
it's a label that society has put on children that can see and hear spirit or
channel
prophecy and stuff like that. And I know you've seen things, and we've talked about it here. And actually, I had somebody get hold of me the other day, and she's got a my brain is like gone. She's got a podcast that she does, and she's been asking some people for stories about animals because she's an animal reader, right? And I think back, and I still think of it sometimes. I'm like, I was like 4 years old. I could hear my dog. I could hear the trees, the bushes. I just thought it was normal. And someone said to me, well, we were talking about with the kids, and she says, but did you like hear them talk like we do? I go,
well,
they spoke, but it was their language, but I understood it. And I said, and I could respond to it. And I said, I just didn't understand it. Other people couldn't do that. And she can do it. She won't admit it, but she can do it. And it's that knowing or that sense. And it's interesting now to see this big rise of new indigo children coming up.
Well, because the younger parents aren't stifling their children. They're not dismissing them and telling them it's nonsense. They're feeding it. They're nourishing that part of them.
Are they doing that, or are they just like so wrapped up in their own lives that they're not paying attention to their kids? That's a good thought too, right?
Yeah. Well, I think there's a mix of going on there.
I've seen probably over the past 2 weeks, I've probably seen 8 of them like show up in different spots, and they're not the same child. And you sit and listen to them, and it's like, like, where are they even getting these words? Like, they're not words a normal 6-year-old would have, or
Right, right. There's a young boy. What's his name? Is his name Bray or something like that?
Oh, that one you sent me the video of?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember his name, but
He's really, really good. And then there's a little girl as well that she was just talking last night about the 11th gate.
Oh.
And people that will be taken to the 11th gate. And every single part of my arm is standing up right now.
Yeah. Joseph Amoroso.
Oh, my God.
Joseph Amoroso, who is a life coach, and he does physical training up in New York, someplace in New York. I've talked to him. We've had him on the shows when we were doing the radio shows and stuff. And he actually died and came back when he was like 12 or 13. But when he came back, his thing is numbers and angelic, the way they talk. He calls them the angelic energies. I call them the divine energies, and they have no emotion. But what blows my mind is he'll start channeling numbers and putting things together. And for me, I never had a math head. I could never understand any kind of math. I didn't care what it was, chemistry, none of that stuff worked for me. So for me, it's way over my head, but yet it still resonates, if that makes sense. And it's like prophecy. It's like Einstein's prophecy, like when he talked about the black hole when he was alive. There's black holes in the universe and vortexes in the universe, and they were all like, yeah, you're crazy. Now they're seeing, oh yeah, they're here.
Yep.
And they can prove it with almost, because our technology is getting to the point where we can't explain it, but we can see it and witness it. And it makes me just wonder. And like Edgar Cayce, remember, he used to. So all you that are younger than me might not know who Edgar Cayce is, but he was in the 40s, I want to say, 40s and 50s.
Yeah, I think so.
He prophesized, and he knew things like, how would he know that? And they've written all this down in a lot. I mean, like spot on for the most part of it. I can't imagine, though, having that kind of burden in life.
I had a crazy vision yesterday on my way home from work. I think it was yesterday that they had McDonald's and Burger King and Wendy's and all of those did the weird 1-cent burgers and 50-cent burgers and all that. And a lot of people are like questioning it, like, why? It's not out of the goodness of their heart. Why are they doing this? What's wrong with those burgers? What's in those burgers? We're losing trust in everything. We can't trust fast food. You can't even, you don't want to go get a burger from anywhere because you don't know what they're trying to give you. Is it lab grown? What's in it? Is there stuff in there that's going to make me sick? Whatever. By 2026, I think fast food, the vision I was seeing, I don't want to say I think, 2026, that will be something that is of the past. I don't see that there'll be much around.
Well, I look, and within my own sacred circle of the people that are there, and my younger people want to know recipes. They're getting back to the ways of old. Like,
a lot of people are canning. They're growing their own food.
Britt, when she came up with Windwalker, she brought me a huge half-gallon thing of tomatoes that she had done, and then she had made some mild salsa. And it was with all fresh grown produce, and that she either got from the farmer's market directly or had grown herself. And that's one of the things Windwalker does. And she's like, she moved from California and did it in California, and she moved back to New Mexico, and they're growing a lot of their own food. And we've talked about that here. And I think, for me, I think it's a good thing, because I'm seeing young people want to be family again. They want what some of us had growing up, with family members listening, talking, supporting, hearing them, and teaching them what we knew. And I think that's great. Taylor loves to cook, and
Leo and Gabe both love to help in the kitchen. They love to cook.
I don't know. It's interesting times that we live in. That's kind of
Yeah.
what I'll say.
People
It's
are making their own medicines. They're making they're doing their own canning. They're starting to actually cook again. So I think fast food is going to be dying fairly quickly soon. Like um, the year between 2025 and 2026, it's going to go downhill very fast. There's a lot of businesses that are going to be out of business, and
well,
it's we can't trust them
well, that I think people are tired of paying high dollar for everything. I think that's
for
proven.
crap.
Yeah,
For
well, I
crap.
think it's being proven right now by even the strikes on the auto workers, and I support them 100% because the owners and the stockholders are getting billions, and these people haven't seen a raise in a while.
Right.
One of
That's
the
a
other
good idea,
things,
Ellen.
one of the other things that was brought up to me over the weekend, actually from the community around, and we talked a little bit about it, but the birds and the animals are acting differently this year. Like all my monarchs, they never left. They never really showed up. And I'm like on a direct migration. So every year for the past 10 years that I've been here, I've seen the migrations, butterflies, ducks, different ducks. We didn't have that this year. I did not see them come in. And actually, by now, the red-winged blackbirds should have gone through, have not. Didn't see them come in, didn't see them leave. Butterflies, nobody saw them, even out at the point where it's like a big stopping ground for their migration. Nope. And hummingbirds, nope. I did see the dragonflies, and I'll tell you what happened with
And
the
you said,
dragonflies.
no, there's no dragonflies here now.
Yeah, but it was only 4 that we saw. The first one we saw was massive. I mean, it was a big. I've never even seen one this big. And it came and it kind of fluttered around all of us and then it left. But it was still around my house because when I walked around to the other side to come into the house, it was there and it was kind of following me. And then we had 2, and we were talking about, what were we talking about? Little kids or having babies. Somebody had a baby, and we had a mated pair of dragonflies land in between the 2 people that were speaking about having a baby because these people were having issues and they weren't getting pregnant and this and that. And so these 2 dragonflies, and they were stuck together. And
That's just saying, keep going. It's going to happen.
yeah, and
That's a confirmation.
Lindsay's just looking and saying, okay, is it just me or was that just crazy? And it's like, no, it was a sign. Obviously, it was a sign. But the animals are acting different. Like right now, on a day like today, it should be busy. I should be able to hear that. I should be able to see squirrels running around. It's crickets. That's all I
Well,
hear.
yeah, like my bird feeder lately, I was having to feel it like every few days. That I haven't touched that bird feeder in at least 3 or 4 weeks. And we have squirrels out here, so that's weird.
Well, you look at them now, and their fur is coming in very thick already. So for me, I don't listen to weather. That means that we're going to have a cold winter. I don't necessarily know that it's going to be snow, but it's going to be very, very cold. And then down south and along the east coast, on the Atlantic Ocean side, there have been fishermen, and I actually saw a post about it today, and they were freaked out because they were like gold-winged finches. Beautiful birds. We have them here. Haven't seen any this year at all, but they were out by the water and over the water, and there were mass amounts of them. And it was almost like they were heading back north instead of continuing south. And they didn't understand it. And a lot of people were saying the same thing. You need to pay attention to nature. Nature will tell you if a storm is coming in, and they've got Hurricane Lee. They just don't know where it's going to hit on the East Coast yet, but it's steaming up. And I said, it happened on the way in 2 years ago into spring. Certain bird species came up from the south and stopped and turned around and went back to where they were wintering until all that cold weather that was up in the north area where I am was gone. And then once it was gone, they all came back and remigrated back north. And people need to pay attention to this. It's
I
not
tell you
fun.
something, Robert and I saw last year. I've been in Tennessee, born and raised. I've never, ever even, I've never seen this before. We happened to be in Hendersonville, just a little bit north of Nashville. And there's a lake there. We were headed toward the lake. I don't remember what we were going there for, but we were going down through there. Maybe I was just showing him around because he had just got here. Pelicans, like
Yeah,
a whole humongous. There had to be 300 or more pelicans. What are they doing in Nashville?
we had we had 10 of them show up this year up here, Michigan. We don't
Like,
have
that
pelicans in
was the
Michigan.
weirdest thing. I pulled over. I'll have to look the video up and I'll post it in the group because it was, we were like, what on earth? First, we saw them flying. That's what it was. We saw them flying and we were following. And we went down the road that went by the lake and we pulled over. There had to be at least 300 or more. And we were like,
They're adapting. They're absolutely 100% adapting, just like when we went through the prehistoric times or the ice age
it
times.
was
They
crazy.
adapt. And if they don't adapt, they will die out. They will become extinct.
And they
And
were so
yeah,
synchronized. It was like one,
mhm.
2, 3, dunk, and up. And
Yep,
1, 2, 3,
yep,
dunk. And they all did it at
yep.
the same time.
Pelican butts, I call it. Up here we
Yep,
have
yep.
our geese left last month. I have no Canadian geese. There's no Canadian geese out here. That's unheard of. They don't leave till usually the end of October.
That's
And
crazy.
some of them stay to winter because the big lake doesn't always freeze over. They're all gone. They're all gone. They got their babies. They were V flying over the lake and they were all gone last month. It's like,
So
how did
weird.
that just happen? You know? So I don't know. It's our trees are already changing. They were changing last month. And if you look at all the trees in nature, go out, people. If you're out there, go out and look at your trees in your neighborhoods or around your homes or on the way to work or on the way to wherever. And you will see they are all loaded with seed. I mean, loaded. Like their branches are hanging low because they've got so much seed on them. And my daughter looked at me and says, Mom, why is that happening? I said, because they're trying to continue their species because we've had a drought in most areas. It's been drought and fires and drought and fires. And I said, they're trying to continue. They want to not become extinct. So everybody needs to pay a little closer to what nature teaches us and shows us.
Yeah.
You know, it's plain and simple. You don't need, like I said, you don't need rocket science to figure it out. When I had the horses, every year, well, we got rid of them. Let's see, when we lost the house, it was 2009, I think 2008 that I had to sell them off and give them. I gave them, actually, most of them are up in the Upper Peninsula and they're working with children that have mental illness and handicapped children, okay, and
Right.
adults. And so they're most all but two, and then the two are still down here, and I know where they are and everything, and they're good. But it's like we would always know when winter was coming and how bad it would be because they'd start growing their winter coat in September if it was going to be really cold, and it would get it was like a fur coat on them, and you couldn't brush it off. It was thick fur. And then we would always look at them again every year. And when spring was coming and we weren't into it yet, they'd start shedding and they'd have bald spots on them because their hair was coming out. So
Yeah.
you really have nature. I just wish more people would respect it and really look at what it teaches people because it can teach us about life, right?
Yeah.
It can teach us about life. I don't know if you've seen this. This is new on Netflix. And it was so funny because I said out loud, and I actually said to my kids this past weekend, I want to go somewhere where I can sit all day by orangutans, chimps, and gorillas, right? I want to go, and I just want to sit there.
Right.
I want to sit there by the glass or wherever it is that they have the people behind, and I want to observe, and I want to see if they interact. This is like, it's been on my mind for the past couple of years. So I was flipping and I needed something to watch to chill my mind the other night. And I swear to God, it was like I must have said something and the universe answered. They had the Ohio Zoo or the Cincinnati Zoo it's brand new, and it has like 4 episodes of chimp cams, gorilla cams. And they put it in their enclosures, and they're big enclosures, but they have 3 new babies.
Aww.
So they're introducing the babies, and they're 6 months to 2 years, and they're still, it's like adults, or human people. So it takes them a while to become a big adult. And so there's no music, there's no words.
You're just watching them.
Sit and watch the gorillas. And I actually even said, okay, I appreciate that, but not quite what I meant, but I'll take it, right? And it's just fascinating to watch how so much in tune with what we do and how we do things. The only difference is humans have forgotten to be able to have compassion and empathy. And you can definitely tell with these beautiful creatures, they have that for each other. And the
People
kids
have gotten out of touch with themselves. They don't trust their intuition. They don't follow it whatsoever. They doubt everything, and they're disconnected completely.
Yeah, it's like I watched this great big silverback gorilla. He was massive, and he was out there with the group, and his woman or wife or what, his mate, right, came out with the baby, and the baby was 6 months old. That baby went over with him and was like pinching him and would run just like a kid would do, right? Just like a toddler. He'd come over and he'd try to tickle him or he'd poke him. And his dad would look and he'd kind of push him away a little bit. And then he reached back and he grabbed him and he brought him up. What did he do? I was like so in shock. He picked him up and he blew bubbles on his belly, like we do to our babies.
Yeah.
And it's like, look at that. They are so massively intelligent. And it makes me both sad and good, because I know they're being protected, but it's sad that they can't be in their natural environment. And that's because of humans, because of what we've done, the hunting, the land that we've taken away from them, the rainforest that we've destroyed. And that truly makes me sad, because I feel like they shouldn't be in zoos. But at the same time, I'm grateful that we still have them and are able to care for them in a way that it's close, but they're safe.
Right.
But let me tell you, if you get a chance to watch this, folks, it is just quiet. All you do is see the babies and the apes. And there's, like I said, it's 4 hours of endless what they do. They put food out and what foods they like, and some foods that some of them don't, just like us, some stuff we like and some stuff we don't like. So it was quite amazing to really sit and watch that. And I was like, is that the smart TV doing that? Or
Well, everything's listening to us all day long, everywhere we go.
I suppose. Well, what's this here now? Let's see. I saw a baby girl and
She was not here, Ruth.
Yeah, I know. She was here yesterday, Tada. Yeah, it was, to watch them play. And I do put that up a lot on my business page because people need to be aware of it and see it. And when I had the horses and we had the foals, they were the same way. The mothers would try to keep them in line, the mares, and they gave them love. And you could see, even after they were born, right, how they'd follow them. And if she thought they were doing something bad, they'd get on the mares would get on the babies, the foals, and they'd like, you ain't doing that. And then the babies jump like crazy and all over. But it's that same link that we're lacking right now as humans, that I feel we're lacking as humans. And I don't think it'll ever change for animals. I really don't. Like I said, it makes me sad that so many of them are so close to extinction. But anyway, All right. Well, we went through an hour again already. I know you guys, we weren't talking about anything in particular, but everything in general, which kind of was awesome too. And make sure you guys check for Holly's books over on Amazon. She'll have them posted up in group and on her pages. And you know me, I'm just trucking along, not doing much right now, but I'll get there soon. So see y'all from the
Have
cave.
a great day, everyone.
All right. You guys all have a great week, and thanks for stopping in to spend time with us today. Bye.
See ya.